Hello friends, welcome to our class on fractions. So fractions are the most important concept, it's one of the most important concepts that anyone who is doing any kind of arithmetic, whether it be in aptitude examinations or any of the maths examinations, you should know. Not only should you know fractions, you should actually be an expert in solving fraction problems. So let's move on. So we'll start with like basic things about fractions. I'll quickly cover those in 1 or 2 slides, and then I'll tell you 3 or 4 most important tricks that will enable you to quickly solve all kinds of fraction problems. So speed is the key here, and today we'll learn 4 tricks which would really speed up our fraction calculations. So fractions very simply is just part of a whole. Anything which describes a small part of one full thing is a fraction. So depicting fractions on a number line, it's very simple. So here is a number line 0 to 1, and we have depicted a fraction half here, which means that this section is 1/2 of whole. It's 1/2 part of full, and this is also 1/2 part of full. Similarly, this is 1/4 part. This is also 1/4 part. Together they are 2/4 of the whole. This is 3/4. And so on and so forth. There are 2 interesting things that you should understand here. First is all of these fractions, right? Let me use another color here. All of these fractions, they denote or they show the same quantity. They are showing this much length on the number line. All of these fractions are known as equivalent fractions. In other words, if I multiply the top and bottom of a fraction with the same number, from here to here I have multiplied by 2, from here to here again I have multiplied by 2. If I multiply the top and bottom by the same number, I get equivalent fractions. Similarly, if I divide top and bottom by the same number, I get equivalent fractions. So these are equivalent numbers. Secondly, if I consider this number line, this 1/4, 2/4 and 3/4 thing, the denominators of all of these fractions, the bottom part of all of these fractions is same. Such fractions are known as like fractions. Let me use just another color. So these are like fractions. To add or subtract or compare, right? If I am comparing 2 fractions, adding 2 fractions or subtracting 2 fractions, it is very easy to add like fractions. For example, if I want to add 1/4 and another 1/4, I can simply add the numerator, the top part. I can simply add the top part. So this is 1/4, this is another 1/4. So I'll add 1 plus 1 and I'll get 2. So to add like fractions, it is very easy. You can simply add the top portions or the numerators. Similarly, to subtract like fractions, you can simply subtract the numerators. You don't have to worry about the denominator. The denominator remains the same. And similarly, you can compare the like fractions. The numerator of the fraction whose numerator or the top part is larger would be the larger of the 2 fractions. It's very simple. Moving on, here are some terms which we would be using, and you should know because everyone uses these terms. So you should know these terms. So very basic terms. Numerator, the top part of the fraction is numerator. So this is numerator. Denominator, the bottom part of the fraction is known as denominator. Reciprocal is simply the inverse of a fraction. So if I have a fraction 3/4, its reciprocal would be 4/3. It's just inverse. Equivalent fractions, I told you, fractions which represent the same quantity. Like fractions, fractions whose denominator are the same. Unit fractions are those which are made by in which numerator is 1. So for example, 1/2, 1/4, they are all unit fractions. The numerator of all of these is 1. They can be simply created by taking the reciprocal of natural number. Note that I am saying natural number and not whole number. Whole numbers also include 0. If I take reciprocal of 0, I get 1/0, which is really not a number, it's infinite. So you should not typically encounter this situation in any kind of calculation. If you do, you might have to reinterpret your results. So unit fractions can be created by inverting, by taking reciprocal of natural numbers. Moving on, I told you this already. Adding, subtracting and comparing like fractions, it is very easy. You can, if the denominator is the same, you can simply add, subtract or compare the numerator and keep denominator the same. So for example, if I want to add 1 by 3 plus 2 by 3, I simply add the numerator. So this becomes a plus, 1 plus 2, and then 3 I carry over. In the sense that I carry over means I just simply take the 3 here. So denominator remains the same. This becomes 3 by 3, which we know that from the like fractions, we know that I can both multiply and divide as long as I am multiplying and dividing both numerator and denominator together by the same number, I can always do that and not change the fraction. So this becomes really 1 by 1, which is nothing but 1. Moving on, if I am many times in lot of problems, in fact in all the problems I can say, like unless the examiner or the person who set the paper, who created the problem, intended it to have like fractions, you will typically encounter unlike fractions in real problems. So these are two unlike fractions, 1 by 2 and 1 by 3. If I want to add those, if I want to do 1 by 2 plus 1 by 3, I cannot do it directly. It is impossible. So first thing I do is I create the bottom part. I make the bottom part of these two fractions same. I make the denominator same. I make them like fractions. And the way I do it is I multiply this number line by 3 and I multiply this number line by 1 by 3 and I multiply 3 by 3 and I multiply this number line by 2 by 2. I can always do that. Both top and bottom. I multiplied both top and bottom by the same number. And now if you can see, these all of them, right, are like fractions. So I can simply represent these two number line in 1. I can simply represent them as one number line because all of them are dealing with 1/6 parts. So I can represent them using single number line, and now I can add this. Instead of adding 1 by 2 plus 1 by 3, I can add 2 by 6 plus 3 by 6. I know I can do that. Denominator would remain the same, and this 2 plus 3 is nothing but 5. So to add, subtract or compare unlike fractions, we first have to convert them to like fractions. That is, we have to make their denominators same. Now this is our trick. This is our first trick, and you should really know this trick. I mean, you should use this trick. This is very important trick. The trick here is to quickly add, subtract or compare the unlike fractions. So let's take an example. Let's understand this trick with an example. In lot of books and lot of videos, lot of teachers would actually tell you that the way to approach this kind of problem, right, if I have to add 10 by 21 and 8 by 14, the way to approach this kind of problem is to first take the LCM of these two quantities, that is LCM of 21 and 14. Don't do that. This is not, so this is a textbook method. If you are to show your work, then we'll use this method. But if I have the only objective is to solve a problem, then we won't do this. This takes a lot of time. So what are we going to do? We factorize 21 and we factorize 14. So factors of 21 is 7 into 3, 14 is 2 into 7. If you are not familiar with factorization, I taken an earlier class on factorization, how to quickly calculate the factors of various numbers. You can watch that video. It's there on YouTube. Right? So just for similarity, let me write it other way around, 7 into 2. Now here we'll ignore this 7 because it's common in both the numbers. So just ignore 7, just forget it's there. This 3, so in this fraction, in this 8 by 14, the 3 doesn't exist. So I multiply this fraction by 3 by 3, and in this fraction 2 doesn't exist. So I multiply this fraction by 2 by 2, and the result is magically the denominator became the same, and now we have our like fractions which we can simply add. So the answer becomes 44 by 42, which we know we can simplify further, 22 by 21. So look here, we didn't calculate the LCM, we didn't have to do any division, which is always a time consuming task. And another method, right? Another method which people tell you, this is cross multiplication method. What they'll tell you is, to solve these kind of problems, you do 3 cross multiplications. You multiply 14 by 10 and then 21 by 8, and then you multiply these, and the final answer would be 10 into 14 plus 8 into 21 divided by 21 into 14, and then simplify. So this is even worse. This is even worse than calculating the LCM, because you have to do these big multiplications. So don't even do this. Use this method, the shortcut trick that I told you. Use this method, and this is the quickest method. Don't do these kind of things. They'll take all the time. You'll take all your time in solving just one problem. Now, second thing is multiplying fractions. So multiplying fractions also, it is very simple. You simply multiply the numerator by numerator and denominator by denominator, and that's your final result. But here also we can do it. There is a quicker method to doing such problems. So I'll tell you, it's the following: 9 by 12 into, if I have to do this, 7 by 63. So I have created these examples to illustrate a point. So let's say I have these two fractions. So some books will tell you that simplify this one first, and then do the multiplication. What I am telling you today is, don't do that. You take all the numerators and all the denominators, all of them together, and you factorize them. So factorization is your friend here. 4 to 3 multiplied by 7 divided by 3 into 3 into 7. So you take all of them together. Even I can write it like this. And then you do simplification. So top and bottom we can cancel out. And the answer is simply 1 by 12. Very easy, okay? So factorize all the numerators and denominators, all of them together. Do it in one shot. Now the third and the last arithmetic operation that we can do with fractions is division. So if I have to divide two fractions, let's say 1 by 2 divided by 1 by 3. If I have to divide one fraction with another fraction, the way it is done, the method is 1 by 2 divided by 1 by 3, and this in turn can be written as 1 by 2. I change this divide into a multiply. This is a multiply, and I invert this. I take reciprocal of this fraction. I can change the sign and take the reciprocal. So the answer is 3 by 2. Now to understand why this works, or the way this works, we'll take a simple example. So this is the method. This is the method you have to use. But I'm just going to explain why this method actually works, or this method is actually correct. We'll develop some intuitive understanding of why this invert and multiply works for division of fractions. So let's say I have 2 liters of water, and I have to transfer it into 1 liter bottles. 1 liter bottles. How many bottles would I need? You will say it's very simple, sir. We can simply do 2 divided by 1, and the answer is we'll need 2 bottles. Correct. This is easy. Let me take another example. If I have 2 liters of water and I have to transfer it to half liter bottles, okay. I already know the answer, right? We can already compute the answer that if I have 2 liter bottle and half liter bottle, then the answer would be 4. We need 4 bottles. But let's try to develop why this works. So 2 liter bottle, we'll again do the same thing. I'll divide, instead of 1, I'll divide by half. And this time we can see that for each 1 liter of water, how many bottles I need? 2 bottles. 2, where does the 2 come from? 2 is nothing but the reciprocal of this number, half. The reciprocal of half is, reciprocal is 2. So for each liter of water here, right, each liter of water here, I need reciprocal of half, which is 2 bottles. So this is why this trick works. So I can, in mathematics, the way I write it is 2 divided by half, which is nothing but 2 into 2. For each liter of water, I need 2 bottles. So for 2 liter of water, I need 2 into 2, which is equal to 4 bottles. So hopefully this gives you some intuitive understanding of why the division method, the invert and multiply works for division of fractions. Now this is again some terminology, but it is important because these kind of questions are really asked in examinations. Sometimes in exams, instead of encountering fractions like half, 1/3, you'll encounter fractions like 3/2 or 1/2. These fractions, right, the fractions which have a natural number part are known as mixed fractions. And what they are saying is, I have one full quantity and then half more. These fractions which are top heavy, which has the top number is bigger, are known as improper fractions because they are really improper. Like this rock, I mean, it can fall anytime, it can topple over anytime. So these are improper fractions. And proper fractions are these, our nice looking fractions. They are like this. The numerator is small and the denominator, they are well balanced. In other words, they are well balanced. So these are proper fractions. The thing here is, improper fractions and mixed fractions, I can go from one to the other. So I can convert the improper fraction to mixed fraction and vice versa. Let's quickly take an example. So 3/2 is an improper fraction. The way I convert it to mixed fraction is, I divide 3/2. 1 is the quotient and 1 is remainder. So I write 1 quotient here and the remainder 1 comes here and then 2 is simply written here. So what does this mean? It means I have one full quantity. In 3/2 I have one full quantity and then half more. I write it as 1/2, omitting the plus sign. This is typically how it's written, but the plus sign is implied. It's just there. To convert from here to here, it is very simple. 1 plus 1/2, this is what it means, which is really nothing but 2/2 plus 1/2, which is equal to 3/2. We get back our improper fractions. Now let us look at 3 important problems. I have selected these problems because they sort of illustrate an important concept. So you should try to solve these problems on your own and get a feel for what I am trying to convey. So there are 8 people who are planning to share the cost of renting a car. So they want to go somewhere and they are renting a car. 8 people, they say that we'll share the cost. So let's say that the cost of the rental car is X. So each person would have to pay how much? X by 8. Correct only. Now from these 8 people, from these 8 friends, one of the friends, let's say it falls ill. So now we are left with how many friends? 7 friends, and now they have to share the cost of the car. So cost per person, this is the new one, becomes X by 7. This is the old one, old cost per person. Now what the problem is asking us? The problem is asking us the share of each of the remaining person increased by. Right? As soon as they see this problem, they tell me that it cannot be solved. We don't have enough data. The total cost of the car is not even given. How are we going to solve this problem? The key here, my friends, is to understand that this problem is not asking you to find the absolute share, the absolute share, how much would it increase by maybe 100 rupees, 200 rupees. You don't have to come up with an answer in terms of rupees. What you have to come up with an answer in terms of fractional increase. So what this problem is asking you fractional increase in cost per person. So the fractional increase in cost per person. So how much was the cost before? 1 by x by 8. New cost is x by 7. So fractional increase that each additional person would have to pay is x by 7. This is the new one, minus x by 8. And here again people make mistakes. So what will come at the bottom? Would it be x by 8 or x by 7? So think about it. I'll write down the formula here. Fractional increase is, I'll say fractional increase is equal to new cost minus old cost divided by old cost. So thing to note is I always divide by old cost. My old cost comes at the bottom. So x by 8 would come at the bottom. And now I can quickly solve this. So this x, notice that x and x cancel. I solve this top thing and I get, which is equal to 1 by 56, right? And then the denominator, I can bring it to the top. I convert it to multiply and I take reciprocal of 1 by 8, which is 8. This is nothing but 1 by 7. So that's the fractional increase in cost. This is your answer. You don't have to calculate percentages. You don't have to calculate absolute how much is the cost. You don't have to do this, any of that. This is the final answer. Now this is another problem. It's also a problem on fractions, directly applicable to fractions. And this is something again you should practice these kind of problems. So again, try to convert this problem in terms of maths. That's the first thing that we should do. As soon as we see a problem, we try to convert it into maths. And one of the things which would really help you is if you draw a diagram. So try to draw a diagram. There are two trees growing side by side. One of them is 3/5 of the other. That's the growth rate. One of them grows at 3/5 of the other. So let's say that this thing grows x feet per year. This would go by 3/5 x feet per year. So I am choosing feet here because I have a unit of length here, 8 feet. Right? So we should always use the unit given in the questions, and you should always write unit in front of your numbers. As soon as you try to develop a problem, carry your units from the question to your answer, to your solution. The question is telling me that so this is how much the tree grow in 1 year. So total growth in 1 year would be 3 by 5x. This is the total growth of both the trees together. They'll grow this much. And it is telling me that in 4 years, into 4, the total growth is 8 feet. So this is feet, and this is also this entire thing is also in feet. So I can say 4 2s are 8. This is, I can simplify this directly, and this thing I can quickly add. And again I can simplify. Therefore my x comes out to be 5 by 4. This is where we come to our third trick, knowing when to convert fractions to decimals. I'll say this much, that you should typically not convert fractions to decimals unless you are arriving at final answer and your choices are given in decimals. So take your fractions as long as you can. Take fractions with you. Okay? Don't convert to decimals. Right? If your final answer is in decimal, finally convert your fraction to decimal, or if you're allowed to use calculators, then by all means do whatever you want. You can convert to decimals right away. But typically we should never convert fractions to decimals. So this number here, lot of students I have seen, what they'll do is that they'll convert this to, as soon as they see this, oh, this x has come, now let me convert it to decimal. No, don't do that. Don't do that. We'll keep this fraction as it is, and in a minute you will understand why it's important. So this x is 5 by 4. But I have been asked to calculate the growth of a smaller tree. This is the big tree growth. A smaller tree growth is 3 by 5x, which is equal to 3 by 5 into 5 by 4. Now you see that this 5 and 5 can cancel out. So if I had converted this to decimal, I would have made my life even more difficult. So don't do that. So this 5 and 5 cancels out, and I know that the smaller tree grows at the rate of 3 by 4 feet per year. Again, we don't convert this to decimal. We keep fraction as it is, and this is the growth in 1 year. This is the growth in 1 year. So in 2 years, the growth would be 3 by 4 into 2, which is equal to 3 by 2. And finally, I can convert this to 1.5 feet. Okay. So this is the growth in 2 years, and this is our answer. So the idea is to take your fractions, right, solve using fractions as long as you can. And this is another illustration of the same concept, but here I am trying to show one more thing, very important idea. This is our trick number 4, and also again this is very important. But nowadays in lot of problems, lot of exams, aptitude related exams also, I am seeing that examiners they are sort of liking this comparison problem. So this is also taken from one of the exams only, and nowadays these problems are appearing very frequently, comparison of fractions. So let's look at this problem. A lot of teachers, lot of books would tell you that the way to compare fractions, one of the ways is either to make the denominator same, which of course is not possible in this problem, in the sense that it's of course possible, it will take us forever. Or to actually convert them to decimal. Now if you convert these numbers, this is 48 divided by 874, these numbers to decimal, this is the only problem you will be able to do in the exam. So don't even go there. I'll tell you a very simple method of comparing fractions which you can use, feel to use. It is very useful, and typically it can be used in lot of problems. What we do here is that instead of finding the smallest of these three fractions, we invert the fractions, we take reciprocal of the fractions, 874 by 48, 892 by 80 and 865 by 27. So we invert the fractions, we take reciprocal, and instead of finding the smallest of these three, we find the largest of these three. They are one and the same thing, and I will show you in 1 second why. We'll intuitively understand why it's the same thing. So notice I have two fractions, 1 by 2 and 1 by 3. We already know, right, that 1/2 is bigger than 1/3. So this is bigger. On the other hand, if I invert the fractions, I'll write it small, bigger. This is bigger. Okay, this is bigger. If I invert the fractions, if I take reciprocal, which is bigger? This is bigger and this is smaller. So if I take the reciprocal, the reciprocal of the bigger fraction becomes smaller. That is the idea here. So this is smaller. The reciprocal of the bigger fractions becomes small. So similarly, the reciprocal, here we are asked to find smallest, but we will instead find the largest of the reciprocal. Now it is very easy to kind of arrive at approximate solutions, integer quotients of these divisions. It is very easy. I'll show you. 874 divided by 48 is approximately equal to 20. 892 divided by 80 is approximately, right? I'm using the approximate sign. It's not equal, it's approximate. This is approximately equal to 10. And this 27 I can say is approximately 30. This 865 is approximately 900. So this is approximately equal to 30. Right? Now I can see that the largest here is 30. So this would, so from all of these three, this is the largest. So this would be the smallest fraction. It is my answer. So we can use reciprocals for comparison to our advantage. We can use that. But notice that this trick only works if these numbers are very far apart. So in our case they are 10, 20 and 30. If they were very, very close, right, then for example, if approximately all of them were equal to 10, then I'll have to do more maths. But fortunately here, and in most questions asked in real examination, you will encounter, you can probably use this trick, the trick of calculating the approximate answers.